Well, hello and welcome. Thanks for joining me. In today's video, I want to talk about 3 things to notice about your mind so that you can make it work for you. You know, our mind is a super powerful tool. And if we're not paying attention, it can control us in ways that aren't so beneficial for us. But if we do choose to pay attention to it, boy, we can really make it work for ourselves and use it to support us to move in the direction that we want to move in life, to be the person that we want to be. So the first thing is to notice, as is very clear, I'm sure, to you all, is that we have this running commentary in our mind of thoughts, right? It's chattering all day long. Sometimes it's friendly thought, and sometimes and oftentimes it can be kind of like our enemy, or it's beating us up, right? We can think of that image of, the voice of each on our shoulders, chattering from both sides, arguing, you should do this, you shouldn't do that. Well, if I do this, then this will happen. If I don't do that, then that'll happen, right? We're all really aware of this constant chatter and running commentary in our mind that takes us, it's walking with us through everything we do all day long. And it, in many ways, we can look at it as a monkey mind, where it's jumping from limb to limb and topic to topic and fear to fear, right? Or it's been referred to as a doggy mind, where it's running after bones, and the bone of food, or the bone of fear, or the bone of, I got to get myself cleaned up here and get back on track. And so it's jumping from thought to thought. I like to consider it as like a habitual mind, where it's, if we're not paying attention, it's just doing its thing, resisting fear or running after what's easy and fun. The mind that automatically talks us out of things that we might want to do, but all we can think about, or it can think about, are all the ways things can go wrong. So kind of a very habitual mind, right? When you think about what your mind has been all this time up until now, when you started paying attention to it. And so, for example, it can sound like when you wake up in the morning and right away it's there. Oh, I don't want to get up. I'm too comfortable. I'm just going to sleep for a little bit longer. Or sometimes it can be, you're just full of fear when you first wake up in the morning, and it's and right away it might go to the negative of all the things that you're afraid of. Or it could be at night when you really know you should shut the TV off or close that book and start moving towards getting yourself to sleep. And it might talk you out of, well, just one more chapter. I just want to watch this a little longer because I'm enjoying it. I'll figure out my sleep later. It could be talking to you about food. You're tired and you want to have something healthy, and your mind saying, oh, well, there's that piece of cake that's in the fridge. It'd be easier just to have that really delicious food now, and you can worry about having something healthy later. And it's often judging you, or, like you could be walking down the street and you see someone that, oh, they have that really nice body, and gosh, I wish I could have that body and do more exercise. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to sign up for the gym and start going at least 3 times a week. Oh, but then it's going to cost me money, and I don't know if I have enough. I really want to get on to having that better job so I have more money. So you get a sense of, it's constantly that's that doggy mind, monkey mind, jumping from topic to topic. But it can be judging, right? You're judging others, what they're wearing or thinking or saying, or it could be judging yourself, what you're looking like, what you've done and haven't done, or comparing, to other people. Often you can be in your just thinking about the past and things that you did or didn't do, or you wish you had done, or you're into the future, madly preparing, organizing, getting ready for something you have to do that's coming. And often we might just be in pure fantasy land. We're not even here. We're just maybe thinking about what we'd like life to look like, or imagining ourselves, on a beach or being powerful. And so sometimes it can be really helpful. Sometimes we can be scaring ourselves with this constant chitter chatter in our mind. But the bottom line is it's busy all the time. And if we're not paying attention, it's kind of running the show. So the second point I want to point out about the mind is that it naturally wants to go to what keeps us safe. And that's why it tends to have a lot of the fearful element to it. It wants, it's always going to point out what you should be afraid of if you want to try new things, or if you want to say something different to someone. It's going to point out all the things that could go wrong, right? That you could get rejected, that you're just going to fail, that you're going to make a mistake, right? It's kind of like that real small child mind that just wants to feel safe because it doesn't know any better. So it's always going to bring up the resistance factor. It's going to want to stay with what it knows. It's going to want to stay, even if what it knows brings not the best thing, it's going to want to stay there because it's familiar. It wants to do what's easy, what will give you immediate gratification, right? To have that piece of cake rather than that healthier piece of tomato and cucumber on a nice whole wheat piece of bread or whatever it is that's the more healthy thing for you to have. And it's going to want to do naturally what takes the least amount of effort, right? It's going to go down that path of least resistance. And this is just naturally how the mind works, okay? It wants to just be safe and it wants things to be easy. So that's the second thing. This is what it naturally wants to do. And the third thing to notice about your mind and the thoughts, this running commentary, is it triggers our emotions, right? It triggers feelings within us. If we have thoughts that we're going to get rejected or we're going to fail, it creates fear in our body. And, the anxiety in the tummy or overwhelm or restriction in the throat or just more scary thoughts. And of course, these feelings in our body and the fear that it creates, or even if it creates, if you are having positive thoughts that make you feel like you can do what you want to do, this then creates our next set of behaviors, right? So we've got the thoughts that create emotions, and out of those emotions, we're either going to not do what we kind of think we should do, but if we do it, we could be putting ourselves in danger. So we might choose not to go down that route. Or if we're having those positive, great thoughts, which we, really do want to have more of, we could talk ourselves into doing the right thing that's beneficial for our diet, for our career, for our friendships and our relationships, right? So the thoughts trigger particular emotions and feelings, and out of that, then we have new behaviors or the same old behaviors. So this is really important to notice that our thoughts are triggering emotions that then can control our behaviors. And then, so running commentary, it's very natural to be wanting to stay away from the fearful things. The second part is it triggers us to feel a particular way. And the third really important part about our mind is we believe it. Like, we believe what we think. And why not? We've been thinking this stuff for so long. We're still alive. So we're still doing what we've always done. So why wouldn't it be true? If we haven't gone against it to prove it differently, but we've gone with it, then we prove that our thoughts are even correct, right? It has kept us safe. So, and because we believe our thoughts, this ends up what becomes like some of our biggest struggles, right? If we believe the negative, fearful stuff, this keeps us stuck. If we can start believing the positive and the empowering stuff, well, this can also free us. So our mind, again, super powerful, super powerful. And I really want to share this with you guys because this has been a huge understanding in my life when I realized that I don't really have to believe my thoughts and to really notice what my thoughts are and how they are triggering my emotions. And when we can really begin to notice this, it allows us to choose, right? So we get the messages that keep us safe. Don't do it. You're going to fail. You're going to make a mistake. You're going to look like an idiot. And we can go, hello there. Thank you, thoughts. You're keeping me safe. And I really appreciate that. But I am going to, with my kind of like a higher brain, they say that, in the front of our head, we have our higher executive brain, and it can make sense of the lower brain, which tends to function out of fear. And this is essentially is what I'm saying to you is when we begin to notice those fearful thoughts, the ones that just purely wants to keep us safe, out of that lower, earlier brain, we can then move to our higher brain to say, no, I'm going to make a different decision around here. Or the other way you might even think of it is your childlike, scared brain versus your adult, more mature brain can then make a better decision. So whether it's when I wake up in the morning and don't want to get up, I know it's just that easier thing to do to stay in bed. Although it's going to make you late for the rest of your routine going forward, you could just then with your higher, more mature brain say, I see ya, I get it. It is the easier thing to do, but I'm going to choose to get up now because it's going to make my life easier going forward. So when we can begin to notice our thoughts, we can start to make some choices around them. So we can begin to listen to them and to choose. And in that, we can also, the other thing that we can do is when we start to have thoughts that really disempower us, like, you can't do that, that's not you. You need to lose weight. You're not smart enough. When we start to have these thoughts and be aware of them, we can also make a new habit of changing them. And that is that to acknowledge them and say, hi there, I see you're just trying to keep me safe. But you know what? You're not speaking the truth. You've been there for a long time, but you know what? It's not true anymore. And and you can replace it with I'm doing the best I can. I'm going to work on this step by step. I can work through these issues, and start to get on that nurturing path towards yourself. So instead of letting those thoughts trigger fear and self-doubt, we can say, no, I'm choosing to replace it with this thought, a positive thought, a thought that says I can start anew today. I'm going to take a different step towards helping myself, towards loving myself, towards making these changes, or towards building the habits I want to see in my life. You can start to replace them. And over time, I really want you to know that we can change our brains. You've probably heard of the term neuroplasticity, and that they know now that our brains are not fixed, that they are literally like plastic, and we can change the grooves that we've created in our mind. So if you have the groove of going towards the junk food because of all the reasons that your body naturally wants to take you there, you can, over time, when you say, no, I'm not going there, I'm not going to eat the junk food, I'm just going to have that cucumber, for example, instead. With practice over time, and I speak from personal experience on why I am so excited to be able to share this with you and why I love working with my clients through this, is over time your mind more naturally will go to the cucumber, so to speak, rather than the junk food. Not always, because sometimes we are going to feel really, really low, and maybe we do need a little bit of something sweet. But we can begin to use our mind to make that decision rather than our triggered emotions or our negative thinking. So you really can change those grooves so that more naturally the better choice shows up for you in whatever it is. And especially with the positive self-talk, like when you screw up, which we always do and will continue to do, the mind can naturally go to, what did I learn? Rather than, what mistake, how did I mess up? And I'm not doing that, and I'm not doing that again kind of thinking. Our mind can more naturally go to, wow, you did a lot of great things in there. I see that first. But how might I want to do it a little differently next time? And you go, girl, you can do it. It's like a whole new way of thinking, and your brain can naturally go there in support of yourself. And it's so freeing when you find yourself going, wow, I went to the positive. I just went right into supporting Linda rather than that negative, fearful state. So we can begin to notice and become aware that we can choose that running commentary, how we want to go, how we want it to go, in a knowledge that we can begin to change it. So that you can become, you use this so that you can become the person you want to be. And how do we become the person we want to be is we start to think in ways that we want to think. And those thoughts lead us to choose habits that support who we want to be and how we want to show up in the world. And another way we can think about it is Jon Kabat-Zinn, who is the creator of mindfulness-based stress reduction, he has said, and I love this statement, you can't stop the waves, but you can learn to surf. And in this context, it means, we won't always be able to stop the negative thoughts from coming in, or the not so helpful thoughts, or the fearful thoughts. But we can learn to respond to them, to surf them, to stay on top of them, and to work with them in a way that we decide, in a way that supports us. We can't stop the waves of bad choices sometimes. Sometimes we find ourselves having made that bad choice again. But how do we surf it? How do we manage it and respond to it in our life, right? So we might not be able to stop the less desirable stuff from happening, but we get better and better with awareness on how we manage it and how it comes in. And with this practice, with this conscious practice, we actually start to create a situation where the more positive, supportive thoughts come in, and where the more positive, supportive people and circumstances in life start to show up for ourselves that naturally move us in the direction that we want to go. It's kind of like a self-fulfilling system where we just naturally, by our mind and our thinking, kind of interrupt the negative, unsupportive stuff coming in and start to build avenues where the good stuff that moves us in the direction we want to go starts to show up. So as usual, I'm going to leave you with that. We can really become aware of our mind, what it's doing, and begin to make choices of what we want to do with it and how we want to use it, how we want to develop it to support us. So as usual, I'd love to know your thoughts, your comments after watching this video, any questions that you may have if you put some of this stuff into practice. And I invite you to book a complimentary free mini coaching session with me, complimentary free, if this is a path that you would really like support in your life with, of really getting a handle on your mind so that you really can start building that self-confidence and that self-worth to be the person that you know you are and really want to be in your life and in your relationships. Book yourself a session with me, and I'll leave a link below. And just a couple more other things. Join my Facebook group if you want to kind of be involved in a group that continues to talk about more stuff like this. And I do have a free download on a body scan meditation that sort of helps you get out of your mind and into your body. So look for the links for all of that stuff below the video, and I want to thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.